Hi folks, this is L.A. Jones here. What we got here is a slightly modified Model 26. I think it was the first or one of the very first amps Fender designed in the late 40s, and this one's been a long time coming. The parts have just been coming to me over since I was living in Lake Arrowhead, probably 2 years ago. This was, I believe, I'm not positive, but the chassis and transformers, except for the filament transformer, were probably some kind of Heath kit or some other homemade hi-fi unit that I bought off of Todd Sims pointing out that there was a JBL lurking in the cabinet, and I went up there and to get the JBL, and this came along with it. And these are nice stand core transformers. The power transformer is 12 volts, so I got a little triad transformer off of the internet and for the filaments, and so I have all 6-volt tubes in there. And I tell you, it sounds great. It was a little bit of a headache. There was a couple of hiccups along the way, but you know, I got it going pretty good now. I'm going to do a few sound files here. I've got a lot of amps that I would be bringing to a gig, so I kind of designed this one for home use. It's not going to be real practical to take to gigs, unless of course I had a residency somewhere, which I wouldn't usually play in places that would have me there as entertainment. So anyways, if you're interested in how this came about in the process, stay tuned, and please subscribe. I have lots of videos and lots of stuff coming up, so we appreciate your watching, and thanks for watching. Hope this helps. Here's the proposed chassis and transformers. This had all 12-volt tubes in it, and so I don't have a good filament winding coming off of that transformer. So I'm going to get a filament transformer and cover that hole where that cap can was. Had a 5Y3, so that's good. And these are all going to be 6-volt tubes. So nice stand core. I believe it. Yeah, 56 stand core transformers. Let me flip it over here. So that's what the inside looked like after I gutted it. This was a hi-fi, 56 hi-fi. Very nice, very nice. Stay tuned for more. Once again, these stand core output transformer and the stand core power transformer. Let me flip it over. What I'm going to do here, I've labeled all these. We've got an 8 ohm, a 16 ohm, and a 4 ohm. 4 ohms hiding. A 4 ohm. Primitive, right? But effective. 4 ohm taps, and I'm gonna have a switch back here. I'm gonna have a 3-way switch back here that's gonna switch between them, and I've already got I left the actual wiring for the rectifier. I'm gonna put a plate over this, and because of the space, there's not a heck of a lot of space here. I'm going to actually go with a with a cap can here rather than get the cooler F&T or caps. I just don't think I'm going to be able to squeeze all that in here. That would be kind of ambitious. All right. So we'll see. We'll see how it's going to come out. I think it's going to be great. All right, well, here's the front panel of my Model 26 Deluxe. These are just standing in. I'm going to have, actually, one of these is going to be a switch, and one of them is going to just look like that. I've got the 2-meg pot on order, and then everything else is good. So this is the tubes. It came with this hi-fi. All right, and here's some data on them. So you notice plate voltage is 250 max. Plate dissipation is going to be about 7.5 watts, etc., etc. And I'm not going to use those tubes. I'm going to instead use the 6V6 in there, which has a higher maximum plate voltage and a higher plate dissipation also. So these are going to be kind of coasting, I think, with the setup here. But we're going to see. We're going to see if we can juice it up a little bit. So anyways, stay tuned and onward. Here's the components I picked out. Went in and hand picked them all as close as possible to the schematic. Thanks, Bill, for these very cool red caps. That's the caps I'm going to use. And they're going to all all fit in here, theoretically. So, all right, we'll get them in there if I have to hair lip every cow in Texas. So here's what we got so far. I got my AC wire comes in. Black goes to that fuse, to the tip, goes over to the switch, and the other side of the switch returns to the primary. I've also got the filament transformer coming in here. That's going to be the filaments. And I've got the primary, that piggybacking, that red and black is the white return, which also returns to the other transformer. So it seems to make sense. Let's check our work with some voltage measurement. So here's my tentative back panel. Got your on-off switch, got your big-ass power cord, fuse, impedance switch. I'm going to have, you know, some of these holes were already drilled. This was like for your speakers originally. I plugged that up. I'm going to have 2 output jacks and an extra hole. This is the transformer that I'm going to be using for the filament, for the 6-volt filament, and then my power tubes, preamp tube, rectum fryer tube, onward. So all I'm really testing here, I've already tested the voltages over to the rectifier and they're all good. Those are actually untouched from when this was a hi-fi. So what I'm going to test here now is just to see if the filament transformer is going to work in tandem with the other transformer. So got it plugged into my current limiter. I'm going to plug it in right now. The switch is off. Plugging it in. And I'm going to flip the switch. It's upside down, so down is up. And no glow. And we got 6.7 filament voltage. So that's excellent. And no shorts or anything like that. The switch works. Beautiful. Onward. And so it begins. Got the inputs wired to the grids. I'm going to use white for the grids, black for the cathodes, and red for the plates. Here's my resistors. There's going to the grid. Waiting for parts. And we got a little more progress here. I've got the what do you call it? Bypass caps, I believe they're called in technical terms, wired to their respective volume controls, and going into the grid of V2. And I also have a virtual center tap going on for the heaters, as my filament transformer does not have a center tap. Onward. So I found this cap in my stash. It's the values I need. Yeah, it's old, but it's like completely well below spec that it's supposed to be, all of them. I'm just gonna tack it in there just for giggles. And when the new one comes, I'll just untack it and put the new one in. Alrighty, here's what I got. Point to point. This is a 1 meg. It calls for 2 meg. It's on order, so I've got it kind of tacked in there. Same thing with this cap. I got a new one on order. The old one tests good. I'll maybe just leave it in there for a while. Got all the, got to do a couple more wires. Okay, I'm getting close. I've got this all grounded now. And I think about the only thing left to do is the impedance switch. Sorry, which is going to be that right there. I'm going to have it at 4 and 8 ohm. And the heaters. All right, then we'll fire it up. Of course, I'm going to check the wiring first. As Pinetop Perkins would say, ain't that a mess? All right, final wiring done. Ohmage switch. I'm going to fire this up and take some measurements. All right, I'm plugging it in. It's plugged into my current limiter. Let's see if I did my AC at least. No tubes in it yet. Well, what the heck? No glow. Well, we're far away from sound yet. Let's take some measurements and get some tubes. Well, I turned it on and it's glowing pretty bright. So I got some kind of wiring error going on here. The none of the tubes are lighting up except my 5Y3 is a little warm. So yeah, we got some current draw here that we don't want. All right, back to the drawing board. Well, I decided to go back to the drawing board. I decided to ditch this transformer and ditch the idea of a filament transformer. It's just too much. The transformer wasn't enough amperage, and I was rummaging around and I found this nice Schumacher. I looked it up and it's going to power the 6V6s just fine, and it's got all the correct voltage taps. All right, so stay tuned. Back to the drawing board. All right, well, belay that. I went ahead and put my nice stand core power transformer back in there and picked up this nice 3 amp triad filament transformer, and for $10 on eBay, and I'm going to wire that in there, and that's going to be a real sensibility titillator. Yeah. All right, got the filament transformer mounted in there, and finishing up the wiring, and we're going to fire it up and see what happens. Okay, so first thing is it's super high current draw on the 6V6s. All right, so yeah, kill that. This is the voltages. Here's V1 pins to 667. V2 V3, V4, V5. When I send a signal through here, it comes through, but it's like super weak. This is like really cranked. It's like cranked. That's the tone control. Here's the signal going in. That's right at the output jack. Okay. Right at the output jack. I'm going to follow it to the other side of that resistor. And that doesn't look so great. Let's see. It's a flat, messed up signal right there. Okay. Look at that. That's at the pin 2, the first two. Not a good signal, but it is cranked. I've turned it down a little bit, but it's still not as smooth. And it goes to that on the other side of that cap. So, here's the mic input. So that's going from the mic, nice and clean, to the input, right? From there, it's going right to the grid. That looks good. And then from there to the to here, and look at it. So something's not happening right here. I don't know what it is. Well, here's a little rookie mistake I made that's been holding me up. So on this original schematic here, which I've written in the pin numbers for the tubes, there were no pin numbers, and I was following this schematic. And so what did I do? On these two tubes, I looked it up in my RCA manual, what the pins were, and wrote those down. And on this one, or these two tubes, I checked on this online layout, and they had the grid incorrectly labeled here as pin 6. It's pin 5. So then I spent the next 2 months spinning my wheels, crawling all over this thing looking for a wiring error, and there it is. Then there's another error here, but this is only on this schematic. Well, it's on both actually, and that is this. So why do they have a 200 volt cap hooked up to two 300 plus volt plates? Question mark, question mark, question mark. It didn't work when I finally got this pin labeled correctly here and here. Guess what shot out of my 2 meg nice special ordered pot? Lightning. So that doesn't work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this from the 5C3, a more common tone control circuit, and I'm just going to put that in there and call it a day. All right, onward. Okay, after much hair pulling, I pulled out about a bushel of my hair trying to figure this out. I've got the correct signal path going to the correct pins on the 6V6, and I ditched that unsafe tone circuit that Fender botched in 1946. So I got my signal generator going. I got it plugged into my Variac and my current limiter. I'm going to fire it up and see what happens. Here comes the signal. Let's see. Alright, it's going on. No glow. That's good. And tubes are warming up. And we got a nice, strong signal. Alright, and the volumes are interactive, it looks like. Well, that's totally cool. And let's see if the tone works. Yep, seems like the tone's working. Okay. Excellent. Let's check the bias next. Looks like we're in the home stretch here. Okay, so checking with my buddy Bill's patented milliamp measurer. We got a mismatched set of tubes here. So this one is too low and one's too high. So I'm just going to putter around and see if I can just get something that's a better match here. The one on the left is not too bad. The one on the right's a little hot for this setup here. So let's see what we can come up with. Here's what I'm going to go with. Right here. All right, here's a final look over before I make a base for it. Here's my circuit. Some cool stuff in here. There's my impedance switch. Alrighty. Should be good for a year or two, I hope. And here's the look I'm going for. Once again, those go up to 100. I can get 100 things out of that tone. Alright. Nice. This is going to look good in a low light.